Welcome to Discipleship Diagnostics, the videos where we try to answer all your questions about discipleship and using the Discipleship Pack. Today's question has been sent in from Abigail in Courtbridge.
How do I actually use the Discipleship Pack cards?
So this is a really good question. It feels like after 5 videos of teasing it, we're finally back around to the Discipleship Pack, starting to look at that and answering some questions to do with that. So we're going to start with the question of how do you know which card you want to start with?
Yeah, if you haven't watched the video about completing a spiritual self-assessment, that's a great place to start, so make sure you watch that video.
So once you know which card you're starting with, where do you go next?
Yeah, I think it's important to remember these cards aren't just for the discipleship meeting time. They're to help you with a young person, to help them grow spiritually, big picture. So what I normally do is once I have the cards that I know I want to start with, so maybe it's one of these and one of these, I'll actually put it in my pack behind the introduction booklet, kind of tuck it in the front there, and I know what cards that we're going to focus on for this season. So that's what I do.
Or you could tuck them, once you've decided which cards they are, you can tuck them in your Bible or your journal, somewhere that you're using regularly, just to help you think about the young person, think about those growth areas. Maybe you have ideas that come up. You can pray for them in those areas as well. So it just kind of keeps it at the front of your mind.
So it feels like a lot of these things happen before your meeting. So once you actually get into that discipleship meeting, how do we use the card?
Yeah, that's a good place to go next. I know you have some thoughts about it, Matt, so why don't you keep going? You're doing well here.
Thanks. So for me, I always will take out the card that I want us to be looking at and kind of introduce the topic by pulling out the front and then just turn it over, and we would together look at the Bible passage that it highlights and then just kind of for that session work through the different questions and thoughts that are there to structure that time together.
Yeah, and don't forget there's lots of other helpful tools and resources on the website, so make sure to check those out as well.
I think the other important thing to remember is that these cards aren't like Pokemon. You're not trying to catch them all for each of your young people, but it's actually about developing that most important skill of a discipler. So having that clear end goal in place and then using that to assess the growth of the young people you're discipling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the card is only a starting point, which means when you're doing it, you could add your own Bible passages that you're thinking about, come up with questions and illustrations that you have that would help your young people because you know them. And also there are really good resources and tools out there in other places that you can bring in to help you with the topic that you're looking at with them that week.
But make sure that you remember that the pack itself can't actually disciple young people. Only you can disciple young people. So I feel like there's still a couple more questions we often get about the Discipleship Pack. So one of the questions I feel I get asked a lot is, how many of the cards do you use in each week?
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't do more than one card every week. And what I normally do is I choose 3 or 4 cards and we'll look at those for a few months. So those, again, it's not about getting through each card or getting through the whole pack. It's about helping young people grow. So picking a few areas, focusing on it for a few months, using the cards but adding your own ideas in, I think is a great way to go.
And I think the great thing about these cards is they're not just informing the time you're doing these small groups, but they should be informing the rest of your time in the week. So how you're praying for these young people, maybe conversations you're having at different points in the week as you run into them or are doing life alongside them. But I think that's probably long enough for this video now. We're still going to be unpacking some key questions around how we use the Discipleship Pack. So make sure you tune in for our next Discipleship Diagnostics video to hear more about that and how you can use the Discipleship Pack in your context.